Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in again. We are halfway through. This is week 5 of the State of the County, City, and School District Address. And as you can see from the beautiful signage behind me, I am at the Parks and Rec Department right here in downtown Waxahachie. It's one of our first buildings, I think, that had the mural painted on the side. So you can see that wonderful Waxahachie baseball player on the side of the building here. And when you come in the doors, you will find our Parks and Rec Director right here to my left is Gumaro Martinez. And then to his left is Mr. Brad Barnes, who is pretty new with us, but he's an Aggie, so we're all going to welcome him with open arms today. Gumaro, you've been with the City of Waxahachie for a couple of years now, but just recently moved into the director position.
That's correct. Well, I've actually been with the city for 12 years.
Oh, 12 total.
Yeah,
Okay.
12 total.
Wow.
Most recently, 2 as the assistant director and 2 weeks into the director position.
Yeah. So a long time leading through the different departments that you've worked in with the City of Waxahachie, and you've landed now as the director of Parks and Rec. So what a cool gig.
Yeah.
And Brad, you've just come on just in the last few weeks, huh?
I think I started the day after Gumaro took over.
Okay, awesome.
So.
Welcome to Waxahachie.
Thank you very much.
But it's not a place that you're not already familiar with because you've been in Midlothian. You've been in similar size cities like Cleburne. And then you've also had some experience in some much bigger cities like McAllen and things like that, right?
That's right, yeah.
The small and the large. So just for people, I'll start with you and your experience just in Parks and Rec with various cities, multiple cities in Texas like you've had. What is your comparative experience like? What do you see that Waxahachie holds that may be unique to some of the other cities you've seen?
It took me a little while to get here, but I finally made it.
Yeah.
So, really, it's the culture.
Yeah.
The culture of the community, the expectations, you've got an amazing, vibrant downtown here that has just, I think, created so much pride and excitement in the community here, and that's spilled over, and now we're trying to continue that wave out into the parks and build a kind of park system that the people deserve and expect.
Yeah, I look at it kind of like when I buy a new house, even though I buy it, it's built, it's move-in ready. I plant a little plant out front, and that makes me think, but wouldn't this flower bed look good over here? Now, what about over here? Now, gosh, it sure would be easier if we poured a little more concrete here to have more parking. It's that kind of thing when you're proud of where you are, like we're so proud of Waxahachie. Our beautiful downtown spills over into the parks, right around downtown, leading to walking trails that connect us to more parks, and it just grows and grows. So, like you said, the expectation just keeps going up and up and up. So, speaking of that, you guys have been hard at work the last few years, doing remodels all over the place.
Yes, we have. I think over the last 4 or 5 years, we've tried to just about hit every park, either whether it's a new play structure, adding a shade structure, or maybe bringing it up to ADA compliance. We've been doing all that.
And just so the listeners know, so you guys see what all is on their shoulders here at Parks and Rec. He has about 20 people in this immediate department that he's over. But Parks and Rec as a department is over the cemetery. They're over the convenience station, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. The sports complex. They're over the whole beautification department, which is all the pretty pots and flowers that you see and all the horticulturalist work that you see that has really stepped up over the last few years. And then they're also over the senior center, which is a whole nother campus. It's just south of town down there, and a beautiful campus it is. So you guys have a lot to manage, obviously.
Yes.
Lots to manage. So speaking of, with all of those things that I just listed, in addition to that, there are 19 parks that you guys are over in the city of Waxahachie. That is a pride point right there, because for a city our size to have 19 different parks that have all been touched, like you said, over the last few years with shade structures, ADA compliance, parking, Penn Park, gosh, there's a pool, there's a lighted football field. There's so many things are in all of our parks for everybody to take advantage of. We have splash pads, 2 that are working now, three in total once we get Rail Yard Park open. So quality of life is what encompasses all of those things. And I think it was about 8 or 10 years ago, I'm going to say that the city went through a community-wide strategic planning process, and this process said we want to make sure to focus on our quality of life, because as people move here, we want to make sure that the city maintains its charm and its beauty and its charm, and we don't want to just be taken over by all the influx of people moving here. That has always been front of the mind. Last week, a couple of weeks ago, we ended our conversation with the mayor and the city manager with just that thought, that their focus is making sure the quality of life here remains what it's always been for Waxahachie, and these are the guys that are making sure that that happens. So when you say, I don't want to lose the charm and the beauty of Waxahachie, these are the guys making sure that doesn't happen, and believe me, they are organizing all kinds of things. So let's talk about, well, that I do want to make sure that I mention that for the most part, there's several things that fund parks and recreation, the things that these guys are able to do in beautifying and improving the parks. But one of the main sources of funding is sales tax. So those are the industries that are out there that are, have many, many, many employees. They're bringing in sales tax dollars. Our downtown, of course, brings in sales tax dollars. And I don't think a lot of people understand that funds that come in, like property tax, sales tax dollars, they can't always be commingled. So sometimes these sales tax dollars, that's all they can be used for is maybe a park. For example, Rail Yard Park. If you see somebody that says, man, they had $2 million to spend on that new Rail Yard Park, but my street has potholes, those funds can't be used for the same thing. So the funds that are for the parks have to be used on the parks or quality of life type things like parks or building parks. So make sure that everybody understands that the city is not ignoring one thing in order to do another thing. It's completely different funds that you guys are able to work with. So there's a lot of partnership that goes on with that. And I mentioned the Waxahachie Community Development Council. This is the board of directors that oversees a couple of your parks, like the sports complex.
Yes.
And Waxahachie Community Development Council set aside some funding and did some bonds to make sure that these parks were being remodeled. So tell us a little bit. I think the biggest transformation I've seen is out in Penn Park. And Penn Park is out kind of on the east side of Waxahachie a little bit. It's a huge park. It's not quite as big as Getzendaner, but it's probably one of the biggest.
It is. It's a pretty fair sized park, and we're really proud of all the improvements we've done out there. We've done a multitude of things, which include a covered basketball court, a pavilion, a play structure with shade over it, walking trail around the park, a lighted football field like you mentioned earlier, and then in the near future, we're going to add a new pool. So that'll be phase 4 of Penn Park renovations.
That's awesome. And it's got a pool out there now, but because of ADA and different code compliances, y'all are going to have to tear that one out and put a whole new one in.
Correct.
Right. It actually saves money to do it that way. So it's going to be a brand new code compliant swimming pool. Nice, nice. I love it. Are you guys over Optimus as well? Pool?
No, Optimus is just a partnership that we have. They're
Yeah.
independent from the city.
Okay. And I mention it because Optimus just did some remodels to their pool as well. So to have that availability, 2 different pools in the community. If you're not a member of the YMCA, you still have 2 pools in the community to utilize that are going to be, especially this one, going to be super, super nice. Lions Park is another one that's one of our largest parks, and that is where I'll go ahead and go back to the convenience station, because the convenience station is out there.
Yes.
And I don't think a lot of people really even know about our convenience station, so let's just talk about that.
Well, that's unfortunate because it's been out there for a long time, and we offer a multitude of services, as well as free limb and tree disposal to our city residents, as well as mulch pickup for free. We have that service out there, and then
so he said for free. That means you can go out there and get free mulch for your flower beds, your gardens, or whatever, guys. So people are bringing in limbs, they're mulching it up, and you can come and pick it up for free from the city of Waxahachie.
That's right.
Yeah, I love that.
And then we also, from Monday through Saturday, 8 to 4. Obviously, you can take your large, bulky items that you can't dispose at curbside out there, and sometimes for a small fee, get rid of those. as long as we have room.
Yeah, meaning mattresses, couches, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff that nobody will take. You can't dump it in a random dumpster. You got to take it somewhere. So the convenience stations
Or
out
on the
there.
side of the road.
Yeah, you can't put a free sign on there. So the convenience station, like he said, is open Monday through Saturday, 8 to 4, I think is what you said. And Lions Park Road, if you just go out to Lions Park and keep going to the back, it's back there. I think 499 is the address, but without looking it up, it's at the back of Lions Park. So remember that. I think that's a great asset for our city to have. Another park that you guys spent a decent amount of money on recently is Oaklawn Park, which is also on the east side of town. It's over on Wyatt Street.
Correct.
What all have you guys done over there? New playground?
Yeah, here recently, some parking improvements, some beautification efforts out there, doing some nice pots and landscaping around the memorial. We also added a pavilion,
Yep.
as well as resurfacing the basketball court out there, and adding a seat wall behind it. So if you go out there, and if you went out there 4 or 5 years ago, it was just dirt and grass, and you see it now, and it's just an awesome little park.
And Brad was mentioning that earlier, how just that sense of pride in a community park like that, because both Penn and Wyatt and Oaklawn, which is on Wyatt, they're very much community. They're within homes or are really close by. So
Sure.
a lot of kids walk back and forth past those parks and use them after school and on weekends and stuff like that. It just brings the whole level of pride up in the area, and you see a lot more people using them now. Right?
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, you said that you go by Penn Park a lot.
Yes.
You're able to talk to. You like to get with the citizens and talk to them about what's going on.
Just
and how
aside from all the work that we have going on out there, you got to keep track of. But it's been great because it gives you the opportunity to actually get involved in the community out there and see the difference, that the improvements that a lot of people don't realize that are, because a park's old or something's lacking or whatever, the community doesn't see it that way. It's a lot greater contribution than what we're making.
Absolutely. I remember the park. I grew up in Lancaster. Not to put Lancaster down, I love the old LHS, but the parks in town back in my day were metal slides with no shade structure over them, and these little thin bars that we could do flips around, and I think they were entirely too high, because if you fell off, you'd probably break your neck. So a lot of the improvements that y'all have done and the money that y'all spent on these parks were initially because you needed to for code compliance. Some of the structures might have been too high, or maybe not ADA compliant, and accessibility and things like that. I do remember, gosh, I lose track of time, but it's probably been a year or so when we did a celebration out at Getz and Daner Park, because you guys have play equipment out there that is special needs, accessible for special needs children even. Is that the only park in town that has the special needs accessibility? I think it is.
I believe so.
Yeah,
So, for the last couple of decades, there's a minimum number of components to any play structure that have to be accessible. And I think it's like 24 to 26%.
Awesome.
So any playground that's put in anywhere is going to have that, at least that minimum number of accessible components.
I love it. I didn't realize that was the general rule that everybody was working under now. That's fantastic.
And that's the manufacturers. I mean, they don't make them that don't have those that percentage.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. So you guys put play structures over the last probably couple years on a ton of the new parks. 5 or 6 new parks that I know of. Getz and Daner got shade structures, and who else? Penn.
Penn Park, I believe Lions Park did too. I want to say Brown Singleton as well.
Yeah.
So that's just
Mustang
a few.
Creek.
Right.
As far as the splash pads, that's another thing that we have that I think is amazing, because I go to parks in other cities just to stop by and let the grandson out and play, and splash pads have become kind of a new fun thing, and there's not a day that the splash pads here aren't packed full of kids.
They're very popular.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't keep them open long enough.
Yeah.
It seems like, but just we still have them open.
Yeah.
Through the end of this month. They'll be open on weekends from 9 to 7.
Okay, so during the summer, the splash pads are all day, every day, pretty much all throughout the week. But just recently, they have restricted. Now they're just open on the weekends as it starts to cool off. So just through the end of this month, right?
Yes.
So take advantage of our splash pads, you guys. We have a splash pad that's right behind the College Street Pub downtown. Our other one is out at Garden Valley. I don't know the name of the street out there, but in the Garden Valley subdivision, way back there at the back. So when you go out Broadhead Road, like you're going to the movie theater, and the Garden Valley subdivision has one back there. And then our third one is going to be at Rail Yard Park, our wonderful Rail Yard Park. Fill us in there. It looks like it's done, so everybody's just licking their chops to get in there. What's going on over there?
Well, it's almost done.
Yeah.
We're working through the punch list now, and we have a few items still pending, and it should be done by the end of this week.
Yeah, awesome.
So, but obviously due to COVID restrictions, we haven't been able to schedule any events that are scheduled by our cultural arts director, Kelly Skitzmas.
Yes.
So
speaking of that, scheduling events, you guys just recently started allowing people to schedule things at the parks. So if somebody wants to have a birthday party and you want to have to schedule or rent the pavilion, I say rent even though it's free, right? You don't pay.
no, we do charge a fee for renting.
Okay, small fee for renting. So if you want to schedule one of the pavilions at any of the parks, there's a couple of things you have to do. First of all, call and let you know the date and time first, so that you can pencil it in.
You'll call our main parks line, which is 469-309-4270, and you'll probably reach myself or Michaela Drury, our admin assistant, and then she'll direct you as to what forms to fill out. I think currently we have to fill out a greater than 10 persons event application, and then that gets routed internally for approval.
Yeah. So that is just one step that's been added to be compliant with the COVID restrictions that the governor has in place. That's not a Waxahachie thing. That is the governor of the state of Texas has restricted outdoor gatherings to less than 10, must be or more than 10 have to be approved by the local mayor. So there's a quick little form that you're going to fill out. It's available online. But when you call in and give them your tentative date so they can at least get you penciled in, we'll get that form in and get that routed through, like he said, the internal procedures that it has to get it all approved. And then once the stamp is on it, pay your small fee and birthday party is on, right?
Right.
So I wanted to make sure to mention that because it's great that we're all starting to be able to gather again. I'm starting to see more and more people out at the park.
Yes.
So I think that makes us even more excited about Rail Yard Park. You mentioned earlier Kelly Skitzmas, who's the programming manager out there. She does all of that. She's going to be the one handling all of the events that are done out there. And Rail Yard Park is going to be handled a little bit differently than the other parks in that it's kind of its own event place. They're going to be having live music come in, all kinds of performances come into that Rail Yard Park, but it is still a park and usable by the community.
Yes.
There's a music station out there that I noticed. We were playing on that the other day. So people can come and sit and picnic out there. If you want to grab your guitar and go down on the stage and entertain your family while you're picnicking, that is open for you to do. If you want to schedule a larger community style event, that's going to have to go through the programming director, which is housed over at the Civic Center. So our ladies at the Civic Center welcome Kelly Skitzmas with open arms and her little car that she rides around for the Rail Yard Park car. So are we thinking by the end of the year or so that'll be in our hands and we'll start to be able to do some promotions for that?
Well, I hope so. Everybody's been waiting.
The golden question, huh?
Everybody's been waiting, and we really hope so. But again, it's all going to depend on what the governor sets forth.
Allows everybody to do. We're pushing on him hard, you guys. Or the chambers of commerce all over the U.S., all over the state, are pushing on Abbott, and all over the U.S. Pushing on everybody else just to make sure that not only can we get going, but we can get going safely. So I know we'll be doing it. I want to check my notes, or I looked down at my notes a few minutes ago, and we have yet to mention Little Creek Trail. And I think that is such a hidden gem because it's just recently been completed. So I don't know that everybody even knows how far it goes. Tell us about Little Creek Trail and what that is.
Yeah, so that's our newest trail edition. And it starts at, I guess, however you want to look at it, Farley Street, and it goes all the way to Indian Drive behind HEB and Global Y.
Yes.
And it's approximately 2 miles stretch with the loops inside Chapman. Yeah, but that's one of the nicer trails that we have. Obviously, we have the Waxahachie Creek hike and bike trail that's been there for, I think, 20 plus years.
Yeah.
But this is just something that really is going to tie our trail system together in the city.
And it brings it more north, so you know everything. A lot of things focus on downtown, which we love because you always want a city that has a vibrant downtown.
Right.
Of course, that's important. But it's kind of neat to start connecting it up to
Sure.
the north side as well. So it goes all the way up to HEB, which is a nice little jog.
Yeah.
Sandy hasn't done a 2-mile jog or anything, and I probably won't. I'll just get little pieces of the trail to entertain that. Before we wrap up, I do want to mention and remind everybody that Rail Yard Park is the only park that has its own Facebook page. So make sure you're following the Rail Yard Park Facebook page and staying abreast of what all of they've got going on. Kelly has tried to continue to do some programming in that she is hosting some live musicians, and they're taking them around to the various hearts that you see all over Waxahachie and doing some little live performances to keep everybody's whistle wet when it comes to live performances. And they'll be back at they'll be open in Rail Yard Park, hopefully, knock on wood, in January when the governor says so. So we are so proud of everything that you guys are doing in the park system. Is there anything else that we missed that we didn't talk about? Because I feel like we talked about a lot of things, but I just want to make sure we didn't. I think we're proud to know that the City of Waxahachie, the Parks Department, not only do y'all cover a large span, but y'all partner with so many organizations in town to make sure the funding is appropriate to
Right.
do the best of the best work. And Brad, you're bringing another 20 plus years of experience into this. So I look forward to seeing what the next 20 years is here. You've
We
been
do
here a
too.
long time,
Yeah.
so get to work on Penn Park. Let's finish that
Okay.
pool before next year, huh?
Okay, yep.
Nice to have both of you guys. Like he said before, the phone number here, 469-309-4270. You guys, when you want to use our park system, be sure to give them a call and let them know that you want to plan a party out there, and they'll get the process started for you. So thank you guys so much for all the hard work that you do to make Waxahachie such a beautiful place.
Thank you.
And we appreciate all of you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week at the same time, 4 p.m. next Thursday.